And that's what we were
No.
taught. We have to let go of that. If something does not feel right, it's okay to let it go.
Yeah, I think it's true. And we do that, I think, in some ways fairly easily, but it does seem to require like this dramatic act to get us to change things. And maybe we just need that for our psyches, that it's like to signal that we're ready to change. We need to have like, the change of everything, like the New Year's resolution or the change in wardrobe or, something big and dramatic versus just saying, okay, done. Thank you. I'll take this other thing.
Right, right. We're funny creatures.
I know. We are, and it sounds like you've been talking about this with New Year's resolutions, or was that the topic for tonight?
Well, we talked the first week in January. We talked about New Year's resolutions and how there's only 8% of the people that make New Year's resolutions that keep them until March. 8%.
Wow.
That's like a sneeze. That's a sneeze in the universe. Yeah. And do you make New Year's resolutions?
I am much more of like this is just a semantics thing. I'm much more of like a solstice resolution maker than a New Year's resolution maker.
Maybe that's a better time to make them.
Well, but I'm trying to do more things with the seasons. And so, coming into winter is that great time of sort of letting go of the things that you've harvested and letting those, be done, and then going into that follow period before you come into the spring and beginning to cultivate and look at what is it that you want to create for the spring. And so I'm trying to do that a little bit more mindfully. But I think it's hard not to make a New Year's resolution because it's a symbolic time to make change. And
right.
So just kind of feels like you're missing the boat if you're not doing anything. But I can't think of anything specifically that I did this year that was not already in the works. And it wasn't like, I was starting January 1st, I'm going to do this. It was more like, I'm moving this direction and like, this is the year that this is going to come, that I'm going to bring this to completion or do this better or something like that. But I've gotten away from like, yes, I'm going to lose 20 pounds and I'm going to do this. And those don't work for me.
Right. What I found works for me is if I set an intention in a word.
Yeah, that's always a really good one.
And I just have a word. And that seems to work well for me because when I'm making my schedule for the day, I have to think of that word. And is that going to, everything that I do has to help me reach that intention. Has to contribute to that word, to that. I hate the word goal.
Yeah, me too. I do like the word intention. And I used to use, like when I do a word or a phrase, and I use that a lot too, like to help me focus on things. And for me, there's always a feeling attached to it. So that's what I try to resonate to is what is the feeling for this time or this season or this year, and to look at the things that resonate with that feeling and the things that don't. And the things that do, then I kind of go with, and the things that don't I begin to let go of. So I do a similar thing as you, I guess.
Very good. Last year my word was abundance, and my friend Stacy was here, and we were in my office, and that word was hanging on the cabinet. And I said, yep, it was a year of abundance, all right. Look at all this shit I've accumulated. I have so much stuff. So I had to be more specific this year with my word.
What was your word?
This year my word was wealth. So it's WHEALTH. It's wealth and health.
Oh, nice.
Thanks. Yep.
So how for you, let me ask you this, how for you is abundance different than wealth?
Well, I wasn't specific in what I wanted the abundance in.
See.
And I'm very well loved. I have a beautiful family, wonderful friends, but I have a lot of papers and a lot of stuff in that office that needs to get thrown out. And,
mm-hmm.
I just accumulated a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And so now I'm getting, and at home too, I have too much stuff. So I'm giving stuff away, and I called the kids and asked them what they wanted, and Mike says, I don't like when you talk like that, Mom. And I said, well, it's not because I'm dying, it's because I have too much.
That's what he's worried about.
Right. And he goes, oh, okay. Then he was all right.
Yeah.
But so they're funny. So so that was the first one. And then the second show of the month, we talked about so many people make the resolution of getting healthy and fit. And they go into it gun blasters? No, that's not a word.
Blazing.
Guns blazing. Okay, thank you. And then they find out how sore and out of shape they are, and they think, I can't do this, and they give up. Yeah, and I worked for spas in California for years, and people would come in there just, I'm going to exercise 6 days a week and for an hour a day, and I'm going to run in the afternoon. And I'd say, please don't do that. Please. You're either going to get hurt or burn out like really fast. And the people that kind of backed off and took it easy and built on their activity level and how long they were doing it and how many days they were doing it, so the duration and everything, if they built on that, they would succeed and accomplish what they wanted to accomplish. And the other ones would not be coming back to the gym.
Yeah. No, that's true. And it's interesting because we've had, I'm down in Asheville, North Carolina, and we've had, and you guys have had weather too, but we've had weather and
you had snow, didn't you?
We've had snow, we've had ice. It's been crazy. And so normally by this time, I teach pool classes, and normally by this time, we have those people in, which is great because it keeps everybody, it keeps the classes big and all this stuff. But people don't seem to be, either they're not coming out because of the weather, or they're not choosing the gym that I work at, or they're not making, or everybody's not making resolutions because we haven't really had a surge of people like we usually do.
That is unusual, isn't it? I bet you it's the weather.
It could be
probably. But I hope they come back because it's nice to have more people around. And I mean not huge numbers, like, 'cause I've been in gyms like you're talking about, where it's just a bunch of people that don't know what they're doing and everybody gets hurt and
clanging
on the machine and all that stuff. So I don't want that, but I do want the happy Goldilocks medium.
Right. Yeah, that is good. So, and we had a lady here that is a fitness expert, and she teaches several different classes. She owns a gym here, and she was talking about how you have to start out at different levels, and we talked about heart rate and just a bunch of stuff, and hopefully some people got stuff out of that. So we're going to also talk about what you want to talk about, but I thought today we'd talk about a lot of people give things up, and they don't reward themselves by getting something in return. I'll give you an example, because I don't know if I'm saying that quite succinctly as I want to. When years ago I quit smoking, and not this last time that I quit, but years ago, and but I've been smoke free for 4 years now.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, that's really good. And my friend Susan, congratulations, Susan Missig. It's been over a week now, 10 days. So way to go.
Yay.
And because that's a hard one. But I quit smoking, and I was working in a health club. And every time I wanted to, isn't that an oxymoron? I smoked, and every time I wanted a cigarette, I would do sit-ups or jumping jacks.
Oh my gosh,
I
that's like
got so healthy. No, because I loved doing sit-ups and jumping jacks at the time.
Well, then never mind.
Yes, and I got so healthy and strong from that it was I gave up something, but I got something really good in return. And it just kind of is a little trick for yourself. Have you ever done anything like that?
Well, I think for me, everything's all about the feeling and the energy of it, because that's just sort of how my body works or my mind works. And so I tend to do things like, if I'm going to be giving something up, I'm giving myself something else, but it's not necessarily a thing like yours. But I have a little, what would it be called? I guess it's, where would it be? It's something that I use for, instead of resolutions and things, it's kind of a intention sentence or an intention thing that I use. And so, but it's all based around emotion. And so for me, I'll say something like, thank you that I'm more and more willing to let go of feeling like I have to smoke a cigarette, to use your cigarette things,
nice.
like feeling like I have to smoke. And that I'm more and more willing to feel free to, free to take a deep breath and love my life. And that's not really my thing. So like from one of mine was, thank you that I'm more and more willing to let go of feeling like I have to micromanage my life, because that was my big thing. And that I'm more and more willing to trust that, that I'm in the right place at the right time and the right things happen for me. Right. And so for me, it becomes about the feeling of letting go of what I want to let go of, and the feeling of bringing in that new state. And so I guess I do what you're saying in a way, but I just do it in a little bit different way. But I do understand what you mean, that people don't reward themselves or give themselves something when they let go of something.
And to be thankful every day that you're not doing that bad habit, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because gratitude changes your physiology. Gratitude changes the chemicals in your brain. Gratitude actually feeds your body healthy things. And when you are thankful and you're grateful and you're, bringing in healthy hormones and neurotransmitters and all of that, it's like its own little reward for giving something up. If you focus on the gratitude of having given it up versus focusing on not having it, which is of course a recipe for, starting smoking again or grabbing that donut or whatever it is you want to do really early on.
Right. Yeah. And some people have a lot harder time than others, simply because of their personalities. Go check that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of people really don't know how to, or are highly suspicious of focusing on anything that's positive. It's always very punitive or punishment oriented or, strict or drill sergeant-ish or willpower-ish. I've got to tough it out and will myself through this and all of this and not willing to use some of the, the easier tricks to get things to work if you're open to different ways of thinking.
Right. That's very true. And it's interesting. In coaching, a lot of times I'll have people come in that have very, very bad habits. Like, I don't even want to talk about bad habits. And I get so frustrated because they say they want to stop doing this, and they blame it on that behavior or that habit on all outside things. Without taking any accountability of it for themselves. And then we talk and we have this really good conversation, and I think, oh, cool, we made a breakthrough. And then they'll end the conversation exactly how they did when they first sat down.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so frustrating.
I used to get the same thing when I was a hypnotherapist, and people would come in and basically, the story was, I want my life to be different, but I don't want to change. How can you make my life different without me actually having to change anything? And I was always like, well, I'm going to do my best to help you change so that your life becomes, life changes, but your life becomes different. But, you can't expect things to be different if you're not willing to change.
Right. And sometimes I will have to quit coaching with somebody because they're just not ready for it and they're wasting their money. Yeah. But then there's other people.
Yeah, I've done the same thing.
Yeah, it's just not worth it. But then there's some people that maybe I'll give it 3 or 4 times, 3 or 4 sessions. And if I'm not making any sense to them, or if they're not doing the homework, or they're not really present in our conversations, then I'll tell them, let's put this on hold, deal with what you need to deal with, and when you're ready, come back. But
Yeah, you know,
sometimes